It is a great honor and a privilege to introduce Bracha Frankel. Your married name was Weiss, but you go according to the name Frankel.
Yes, because so many of the Frankels were nifter. Baruch Hashem, I have two sons who go with the name of Weiss, and the grandsons also. He has three sons, so they go with the name of Weiss. But the Frankels, my father, there were 7 children, and he's the only one who was zoche to see grandchildren. He was the only one of the Frankels. He had one brother who was left. They had killed his wife and children, and he married a second time. Didn't have any children from his second wife. So only out of the 7, his parents were only in the 60s. They were taken to Auschwitz. You know, the Nazis, when they came into Hungary. So first of all, and all they did that in all the other countries also. First, they take the weaker people, which are not the main cities, the villages. So my father, he comes from Hasidish. David probably told you, from the Dorige Rebbe, and so that's where his parents lived, and there were I think four boys, 4 men, and 3 daughters, I think. 2 daughters were single in the Shoah. They were 18, 20. They were taken away with the parents, and he had a married sister with children, also taken away, and so now you can understand why I go by the Frankel name. And he had an older brother, 1 year older than he, who was a rabbi for about 10 or more than 10 years already. 4 children under the age of bar mitzvah, all of them to Auschwitz. So you can imagine. I remember Ava, Zichrono Livracha, I visited him in Bnei Brak. He moved to Bnei Brak, and it was Asara B'Tevet. Then it was Yom HaKadosh HaKlali. They didn't have Yom HaZikaron LeShoah. The Yom HaKadosh HaKlali, and he, Yom HaKadosh HaKlali, he was, is someone there?
No, it's all good. You're home in Begen.
What?
And it's all good. Bracha, can I just ask, what year were you born?
I was 1938.
And in which town?
Budapest.
You were born in Budapest. Mm-hmm. But your family lived in
No,
before.
We lived in Budapest. Mm-hmm. But my father, he was from the Stetler, from there. But so I asked my oldest son, well, he's Haredi, my oldest son. So I said, how did they make a shidduch? She was from the in Budapest. They didn't go with streimels. They didn't. How did the shidduch come about? So he said that the way they are in Budapest, they were chuk chatam sofer. Chuk chatam sofer, they can marry or Hasidim or Misnagdim. So she married. He learned Chazanut. He went to learn Chazanut, and one of my mother's brothers, Chaim, he also went to the same school. So he knew he has a sister at home. The others were already married. She was the youngest daughter, and he brought home the friend from the Chazonish school, and my Mordechai Cohen, the way you saw his grave, he was still alive. So he said he gave it okay for the shidduch, and even he came from a very good family. The Frankels were really, really nice people. Many of them already went to the States and were saved. Before the Holocaust, they went already there. But the family of my father, they were mamash all killed. So that's why I'm called go by name. I add also Frankel Weiss, but because I also live near my sister who also married a Weiss, I don't want the confusion to be. So I'm going according to.
You live here in Begen, and your sister's in Begen as well.
Yeah, my younger sister, she was with us in the Kastner train, and we slept on the same bed.
So just before we get into the whole Kastner train,
okay.
What do you remember from Budapest? Growing up, I know you were very.
I went to visit with my mother. She showed me this. The apartment where they lived was like Mea Sharim. You know Mea Sharim. That they have keshet, and then you go into the courtyard.
Like a courtyard.
And then maybe there was an elevator also. I don't know.
You went with your mother after the war.
No. I'll tell you. But. When you interrupt me, then I forget where I was. No,
sorry.
Where was I?
You went with your mother.
She showed me. We lived Dobuta, And later I heard that was the place where they made the ghetto also. But my mother, she was a seamstress for many years, so she had sewing machines in the house. And also there were girls from Poland, Jewish girls who ran to Hungary, because Poland they were taken already, the Jews, and Hungary not yet. So they worked as though they were family members. They worked with the sewing machine for my mother. She used to make negligees and really nice stuff. So when the Nazis came in, you had to make the stars, you know.
Yellow.
Yeah, you had to make a big one on the entrance to the courtyard, and also everyone had to wear. So the Kehillah brought to my mother the yellow material, and she gave to the girls who were with her and herself. She cut it and she prepared it, everything. I wasn't yet six years old, and from the age of 6 you have to wear the star. So if they forgot milk or bread or whatever, Bracha was sent out to buy from the grocery store, whatever was forgotten. That I remember. Well, I remember very, very little from Mamash. When we were living in the courtyard and my mother was sewing. David, he remembers more. He was older, 2 years older than me, and they were. My father had a place of because he was an excellent chazan. Mamash, whoever heard him, you know, in the I just jump into the Machane Rikuz, that the Satmar Rebbe was with us, and came Rosh Hashanah, so the people came to the Rebbe and said, we don't have machzorim, what are we going to do? So he said, go to Frankel. He knows the Tefillah Baal Peh, he knows everything by heart. And he knew, because it was years and years, he was chazan, and an excellent chazan, he knew by heart. So we were separated. I jumped now again to the, so what time do you want me to talk about?
So whatever memories you have of...
You asked me about Hungary. So I can tell you what I heard, but as a 5.5-year-old, you don't remember a lot of stuff. So how did we get on the Kastner train? You know that a Kastner had to pay. You had to be paid over there. So my mother didn't know anything about that. She had a sister who was about 1 year older than her, who looked much identical to her. And she made a shidduch before, but my mother, she was the youngest of the daughters. Under her there were boys who were born. A big family, 10 or 12 children. The grandmother was nifter already because maybe she had diabetes. They didn't know how to treat the ill people. So she was nifter in her 50s after she gave birth to the large family that they had. And where was I? I forgot.
So how did your mother get onto the Kastner?
Yeah, that's it. Okay. So first of all, that sister was not in Shidduchim yet. She was she was older than my mother. She was in Shidduchim, and my mother was not in Shidduchim. So they had a relative, Zinger. His name was Yehuda Zinger, and he didn't live in Budapest. He lived somewhere else. And they started writing to each other. But my aunt, she did not go to high school. She didn't know how to write. And the letters, my mother used to write the letters to the Beshert. And later on, he knew about what happened, and he didn't want to marry her. He didn't want to marry the one that miyuedet, the one who was supposed to be his bride, because he got the letters from someone else. So the father was still alive, and he spoke to him, and he said, I don't give, like Yaakov Avinu, I don't give the younger before the older. So she was 1 year older than my mother, and they had a good marriage. They had she was very docile, my aunt. My mother, she was more a fighter, and at the end she married my father, and they were matimim. They were very, very matimim because she cuddled him a lot. He was a beautiful man, very good looking, tall, handsome, and all the Frankels were like that, really good looking men. And she was short. My mother was short, like I am. I am also short. His family met her, and they were very happy because she was the buster. She knew how to cook very well and bake very well and sew very well. You know, she really knew a lot, and she coddled him. My father. She also cooked. He had ulcers, so cooked miyuchad for him. She was an excellent mother. She was excellent for the children, and also as a wife. She never fought with him. Never. And so we're talking about he had a synagogue in Budapest. That was his synagogue, and he used to take also my brother didn't talk about that he used to sing together with Mordechai, like a choir together with the father. He didn't speak about that. He did speak about it. So I don't think that when I went back with my mother to Hungary, after many years, she showed me where she was living. And I also went to kindergarten to a neighbor who lived later. She lived in Mea Sharim, so I met the son later on, after many years. The one whose mother was my kindergarten teacher, and I didn't go more than kindergarten because I was only 5.5, so I didn't go to school yet, And so the my aunt, she got married to the Zinger family. And he was Rosh Yeshiva, and the Talmidim paid for him to go on the Kastner train. My mother didn't know; she was busy with the sewing and everything, but she went out to the train station to see what's going on. And the Talmidim were over there, and they saw my mother, and they mistook her for the aunt. Everyone always mistook them because they were so much alike. And she was so smart, my mother. She said she didn't correct them that I'm Frankel, and they said, "Are you coming?" The Talmidim said to her, "Are you coming?" I said, "I'm just going to get the children." That's it. She didn't make any corrections. This is the sign of a very intelligent person. If she started saying, "You made a mistake," and we wouldn't have been on the Bracha with Kastner. And she knew that the Rav Zinger did not want to go on that. He didn't trust Eichmann. All this deal with Kastner and all that, many Jews did not trust. And so he knew what to do. First of all, his brother-in-law, my mother's oldest brother, Hananya, he also did not. What did he do? And he was, when the Saba Mordechai was nifter, then he yarash et tafkidim. My grandfather Mordechai Cohen was head of the Shochatim, head of a big city like Budapest, and they had to show the knife. If it's not okay, he יכול לפטר אותם, ממש. So Hananya, הוא לא ירש the work with the shchita, but he was the head of the kehila shama and when the Nazis came in, what did he do? First he thought of sending. He had daughters. He married very soon after my mother married, so he had children. My mother's oldest, my oldest sisters, and Gita, she was born in 1933, and then the younger sister 34, and then Mordechai 35, and David 36 was born in 36, and I was born in 38. And my younger sister from 1942, and the baby brother that I remember, my father's father came for the Brit from the also tall man, very very good looking. So he came for the Brit of my youngest brother, who was born in 1944, Yitzchak Eliezer, and he was nifter at the age of 50, and he had emotional problems, not right away but afterwards. And I'm putting in now that the children of the Holocaust were not taken care of at all. Not only the children of the Holocaust, many Holocaust survivors came to Israel, and people didn't know how to relate to them. They put them in mental hospitals, and they didn't have no relatives, no one close to them to come and visit them, and they died over there without any tipul nachon. They didn't get the right treatment. They weren't emotionally disturbed. No, I made Aliyah when I was 18. I was Bnei Akiva from Borough Park. Like, how did I get to Borough Park? I didn't tell you. I jumped over Switzerland. Okay, so we went on the Kastner train because Bischut.
So just before you go there, so your mother with your two elder sisters, she arranged for them to go into hiding as well.
Nachon. So you want me to talk about them
Please,
first?
Okay. Whatever it's okay. So important.
But these two girls, they never wanted to talk about that. And later on in their life, they didn't want to be religious anymore. and I went to visit them. She Edith Miriam, she went into the bathroom, and on her table was something that she was writing for college about her. It was written, my sister. So which sister was she talking about? The sister was with her all the time, the Gitti, Catherine, and so I start reading, and she said it was written there. If not for my sister, I wouldn't be alive. She had to steal food from me. She comes out of the toilet, grabs it from me, and she says, "It's not for you." And the two older sisters never told me anything about what they went through during the war.
I think they were in the forests and they had
what?
to eat. They were in the forests.
I don't know. I don't know the whole. I didn't hear from their mouths. I hear from other people. But you wanted to know where the two girls. How did the two girls? The two girls were Hanania, the one who hitrapes. No, he didn't hitrapes miyad. First of all, he was looking bemet to send his two girls to Slovakia. He had a brother-in-law over there, okay, and his wife was blonde, and that brother-in-law was also blonde, which you know how important it was, you know, for that. Hanania, he was dark. Our family was dark, okay. So we had another cousin, Shalom Mandelbaum, who was born in Austria, and that Austria was the second country that the Nazis came in, so they were in big sakana. So his parents sent him to us, to Budapest. Shalom Mandelbaum. And that was the time the Nazis are coming into Hungary also. So what are they going to do? So Hanania said, Shalom Mandelbaum has to go out of here because he's not born in Hungary. He was born in Austria. They look at the Teudat Zehut, they're right away to Auschwitz if he's not born in this. Okay, so he was Besakana, and the two girls, Hanania, he wanted to send the girls together with Shalom Mandelbaum to the son-in-law. Shalom Mandelbaum was also blonde, okay? And when my sister was here in Israel, I called up Shalom Mandelbaum, Baruch Hashem Sarad, and I called him up, and I said, okay, my sister's now with me here in Israel. Tell me exactly what happened. And he said, I got dressed like a football player, and the girls put on big crosses on themselves. And you know, in Slovakia they also speak Hungarian, so it was not hard to go there. And he said they came into the train. It was not the Kastner train; it was just a regular train. And that was supposed to, you know, Slovakia was as close to Hungary like we to Jordan. Mamash klum. So he said that they came to check on the papers, and they asked him questions about the football, and he didn't know anything. He was not a sachkan kadurigel, bachur yeshiva one. And so they took him. He said they took him to jail, and from the jail later on they put him to Auschwitz. They sent him to Auschwitz. Baruch Hashem, we came mishpacha. I spoke to him when he was maybe 90 in New York. He was living in Brooklyn, I think, by maybe one of his daughters. I never saw him physically. I never saw him, but I spoke to him, and I said, so what happened to the girls? He said the girls, when they saw that they took me, they ran. And who was the boss of the two girls? Gitti, my older sister. She was like my mother was smart. She was just as smart like my mother. She right away saw what you have to do. You know, right away grabbed. Very, very intelligent she was, and later on, you know, I kidnapped her from the States, and she came to live with me. That you know?
No.
Oh, okay, so that will be later. So the girls ran, and we don't know what happened to them. Everyone has a different story, and I don't know. The girl, they didn't want to open up to tell it to anyone. That page that I found from Edith, from Miriam, on the table, she prepared it for the university. They were, but to the family, she would never show and never talk about the Holocaust. And same thing with Gitti. So what happened to us in the Kastner train? So the Kastner train was seven months in.
So your mother managed to say, "Hold on, I'm going back to bring the children," and I think she brought the two sons.
No, she bought 5 children. We were 7 children.
All the children.
Yeah, all the children. The baby brother was a nursing baby yet. Malka, the one who lives here by Begen, she was 2.5, I think. Yeah, and I was 5.5. There's 3 years difference between.
And then how did you get your father to come on as well?
My father, he depended on his wife. She was really the head of the family. She was a seamstress, Nahon. She wasn't a doctor or whatever, but she was naturally very smart. The way she wrote the letters for her sister, I mean, it was so nice that he wanted to marry her because of the letters. You know, no, the further away I go from her, Yom Ptira Shela, the more I appreciate my mother. Because she was really something מיוחדת, באמת. So we were on the Kastner train. Yeah. What?
This is a picture of your dear mother.
Yeah.
Just
she's. I didn't appreciate her, mamash. I didn't. But later in life, I did take care of her.
So this is a picture of. If you can explain who's in this picture.
Yeah, this is in our apartment in Eli, in a house, and she came to visit. She came to visit Israel. She couldn't leave really the whole family in Wood. There were two children who were sick in America. My youngest brother and Giti, my older sister. So my mother was from the generation that a word of a doctor is like Moshe Messinai, Moshe Rabbeinu. So she listened to them, and they told her that she should put them into mental hospitals, and that's it.
And this is your mother as well.
Yeah, this is she's older than over there.
And the lady she's with.
So I'm getting there. So this is Madame Goldberg. She was born in Switzerland. Her father was a rabbi. But I want to tell you how we got to this. Here she was in an assisted living already. She was the librarian over there. At the picture, and my mother. You see, she also has spots like that. Now I love her so much more than when she was alive. I didn't appreciate her. But
so you got into the train. Do you remember waiting for the train, or?
No. I remember.
What do you remember?
I remember that we ate a lot of. I don't know what month of the it was, but there was a whole bunch of nuts, and that's the only thing we had, and I couldn't look at the nuts after that for a long time. And walnuts we had, and it was like all the trains, they were crowded, and it was very hard to go to Shirotim and all that stuff.
I think it was the kettle train they put.
Yes, they were. So we arrived in Belsen, and very recently I learned that we didn't have to wear those pasim, And first of all, they didn't have children our age. They didn't have children. Someone interviewed me, and you know what she asked me? What games did you play? I was so angry at her. I don't like
people. Belsen.
No, here in Israel. It was but before you start asking or interviewing someone, you have to prepare yourself.
No, what I'm asking, did she ask what games you played in Begen Belsen?
Yes.
What a question to ask.
She didn't have anything else to ask. I mean, slicha. Why didn't she ask where did I go to do my stuff when I had to go to the toilet? Where did you go for the toilet?
When you were on the train, what did you do?
No, on the train they probably had pails, I don't know. But I'm talking the 7 months that we were in Belsen. Yeah, I was 5.5 years old, and I had to go by myself, and what did it look like? Trenches. They were trenches, and you had to watch not to fall in. It was all the dirt in there. Can you imagine that's the way it was over there?
There was dysentery, there was typhus.
Bevadai, Anna Frank, at that time, there was a fence, on the other side were Dutch Jews, and here we were, the Hungarian Jews. And you could see I didn't see Anna Frank, but you could see the way they were treated. They were, instead of horses, they were and they whipped them worse than horses, and that even a 5.5, 6-year-old child does not forget. That I'll never forget. The way they treated the Dutch Jews. Okay, what I remember is the way I had to go by myself to the toilet over there, and that was I don't remember taking showers or anything like that. But recently I learned that we didn't have to wear the uniforms but I do remember that I was the representative of the family to be counted. David wrote in his book that he came to sleep by us. I don't remember that he came to sleep by us. You see, he wrote something else, and I didn't write, but I don't remember. We were 3 children with my mother on one dargash, on one thing. My mother was a nursing mother, so the other mothers, they brought her shuk shachor. Everywhere there was shuk shachor also, the black market, and so she had a little bit more to eat, and she nursed other children. And after the war in Borough Park, the mothers came to me and showed me, this is the child that your mother nursed. If she wouldn't have given that her milk, the child wouldn't have lived. So she
real tzedekahs.
I'm telling you that now I appreciate not only that the way she didn't learn about emotional problems and things like that. She didn't go and take a course of that. So she managed the way she could, but she was from the generation that a doctor's word is like Torah Mesinai, And today I try to keep away as much as possible from doctors. Take Tosefet Zuna, how do you call it in English? Tosefet Zuna. The door of my refrigerator is full of that. Natural stuff. Try not to like garlic. It takes away a lot of the sicknesses.
It's homeopathic.
Huh?
Homeopathic medicine.
Yeah, homeopathic. So when I took my sister to live with me, she lived about 20 years with me. So I took her off. She was already with medications, and Mamash completely changed. The medications changed the personality so much. So I'm still in Begen-Belsen. So Begen-Belsen, I told you I was the representative. She was a nursing mother, so she didn't. And my 2.5-year-old sister, they didn't drag her out. This group, I'm sure that they coddled it. They took it because they were going to show to the world that we were in Belsen, and look, how they come out. They're fine. Everything. We didn't kill them and things like that. So they used us as guinea pigs, Belsen, and the rabbi, what's his name?
The
Satmar Rebbe. After 4 months already, he was released. He went to Switzerland. Probably there were a lot of people who paid a lot of money. Yeah. So we stayed there about 7 or 7.5 months, and then we were also released to Switzerland, and including the boys that were on the men's side, and. I told you that the Satmar Rebbe said that my father knows all the davening by heart. So he was the chazan over there.
And I think your mother was very close with the Rebbetzin.
Okay, nachon. I'm sure she found ways to cook for him. He had special special kashrus. He couldn't eat this stuff, and so those who were sick were put on a truck to go to the border of Switzerland. Those who could walk, they had to walk.
Okay. Can I just ask, and I'm sorry for interrupting,
okay,
but do you remember the day that you left Bergen-Belsen?
No, I'm telling you, but maybe, but I can tell you something that happened. Okay, so my father was sick, so he had to go on the. Because I told you he had ulcers all his life, so he had to go on the truck. And my mother and my baby brother and my baby sister, they're the one who's here by Begen. So she was holding 2 children, and there was a German soldier, a Nazi, standing over there by the truck to see what's going on. So she's asking, hold one of the children that I can go up on the truck. Throw him away. That I remember. That I remember. Even at 60, I was 6 years old then.
He said, throw away.
Yeah, the Nazis said that, throw away. He wouldn't help you, nothing. She probably found someone to help her get up on the train. So we arrived in Switzerland. At the border, they gave us some food, some bread. I think they looked like white bread because we got such black bread in the Nazis in the Machane Rikuz that it looked like the best bread in the world. So they put us into DP camps over there because we were full of lice.
This was in Switzerland?
Yeah, they were in Switzerland already. And
what, you know what year this was? You know when it was?
It was probably 44. Not 45 yet, no.
It wasn't before the end of the war? It was still during the war?
Yeah, it's still not. Kastner was still there during the war. So, okay, what was I talking about?
So you into Switzerland?
And you know how beautiful Switzerland is. Have you ever been to Switzerland? No, it's a beautiful place. So we were over there, And my mother, I told you, she was the head of the family. So she thought maybe to go to Finland. I don't know why she wanted to go to Finland. She did she go before? I don't remember if she put us into children's homes. I think maybe afterwards. So first she had to arrange for the 5 children. The 2 older ones, we didn't know where they were. The 2 older ones. So so first of all, there was a Aliyat Noir from Switzerland going to Palestine. It was not 1948. It was no Medina yet. My mother had a younger brother. Under her were the boys. Under her, Chutz Michananya, who was the older. What was I saying? I forgot.
So your mother, the head Aliyat Noah, with David.
David and Mordechai, she sent them because she had a brother there. Before the Nazis came in, a young couple, they went straight to Israel, to Palestine. And she had another brother, 22-year-old, who was, before that one, that was Shalom, and this was Daniel, the one who was even younger than Shalom. And he went to Palestine in 1936, or maybe 1935. And then he was 22, and he was maybe Haganah, but he was watching over a factory. And in 1936 came the Arabs.
There were riots.
No, not riots. They were killing Jews on left and left. In Hebron, it was 1936. And David was born. David was born b'diuk on 1936. So that Daniel, the one who was David. His name was Daniel. The youngest brother of my mother. He was killed at the age of 22. He's buried in Tel Aviv. In Tel Aviv, he was working in Tel Aviv, watching over the factory. So I took my mother once to Tel Aviv to see the grave of her. He's in a grave Mu'chad, together with others, not separate, but his name was written over there. And so I was in Switzerland, right?
And your mother?
Yeah. So my mother. So I sent the 2 boys because, first of all, Shalom was over there, and also my father's brother, only brother who went through the Holocaust and stayed alive, he was also in Israel, in Palestine. So from both sides, the boys had a place to go and visit, and they went with Aliyat Noah. They came to Kfar Ro'eh. That's the first place. So you read about him in the book, and they did. They went when they went Chofesh. So they went. One went to this one, and one went to Rav Zinger, also the one who went to the glass house later on. Rav Zinger. My mother took the place of his wife. So they also went to him for Shabbatot. It was good that they had someone of the family at least over there. So what about us? First of all, my mother had to find a place for us to say. My father was sick. My baby brother was sick. So they had to go to hospitals. So first she waited until they got better, and Malka and myself, and then the baby brother also joined us when it was better, and she found a children's home, Madame Goldberg, the name. She was, I think, a divorced lady, and her father was a rabbi in Zurich. She was mamash, an angel. She was really. That used to be a place for kaitanot, for how do you say kaitanot in English? Camps in summer. Yeah, the rich kids used to come to the mountains because this was in Mont Pelerin. I don't know if you know, but it was high up in the mountains. It was really very good climate over there, and so that used to be the place for the camps for the summer for the rich kids. And when the Holocaust started, so she opened it up for the children of the Holocaust. Yes, and of course she didn't get any money for that. I'm sure she didn't get paid for that, but she was a tzaddik. So she used to bring a rabbi to teach us a little bit about Yahadut, and I was 6 years old, so I started to go to kindergarten to first grade to a Protestant class. But she had a rabbi coming on, not to be completely disconnected from the Judaism. So no, but we didn't. They didn't. The teacher, he didn't go into any reform that we should become Christian or anything. The only time was Christmas that they go and listen to the choir and learn the songs and everything. So we were like 5 kids from the children's home, and we told the menahel that we Jewish children are not allowed to go into church. So he said, okay, you do whatever you want. Come on. And so no force, nothing. He was a bachelor, maybe in his 30s or 40s, something like that. And there were 8 classes in one room. That means 2 kids from Kita Ched, 2 kids from Kita Zayin, so, that. And when it was, you had to chop the wheat or things like that, they couldn't come. All the children, they had to help at home. But every day he used to have a reading. He read us some stories, which was good for all ages. He was an excellent teacher. Mashal Hitamlut, he did it in the courtyard. Everyone had to. And there were lessons for the girls that had to knit and had to do things, and the boys carpentry or things like that. Mamash, he was excellent. When the time came for me to leave, I was finishing 3rd grade, so he says, just send me a postcard from because going to America. So I never sent him, but I always remind people what a good teacher he was. He was mamash an excellent.
Do you know what happened? Did he get married later on in life?
I didn't go into that. I was a young kid.
We have the picture. If you can show the picture of your mother and.
Yeah.
So when did you go? When did your mother go? And
this was much later. This was much later. So the lady, she's the wonderful menahelet of that Bet Yildim, the children's home. So she definitely deserved that. She had a very sick child. That's why she made the children's home. The child had some kind of very deep eczema on all her body. If you didn't oil it, it would break up. And if she wanted to go to the movies with one of the workers over there, so she asked me that I should sit with her. She was very intelligent, the child, the girl. And ממש, זה לא עשה לי שום דבר. לא נרתעתי. How do you say it in English? I wasn't afraid of the daughter. She was a miskina, but very intelligent, the daughter. And the mother was, she knew the children. When Chanukah came, I was a big reader all the time. She always gave me books as a matana for Chanukah, and she was like a mother to all of us. We met, and we were motherless. What happened after my mother put us into this place.
Just you and your sister?
My sister, and then the big brother got well from the hospital. He also joined us, and my father was also in the hospital. So first of all, she arranged for us, and the 2 boys left already for Israel. So she had to go and look for her daughters. So there were lists of, after the Holocaust, there were lists of, so she found them according to the list in Germany, in Kibbutz Shomer HaTzair, and we're Haredim, and Kibbutz Shomer HaTzair. So
very secular.
It's mamash low. So she went to the Madrich over there, and she said, these are my daughters, I want to take them. No, you left them, they're not yours anymore. I tell you. So I tell you what kind of a mother I had. She made herself as though she's leaving. She stayed around with us. When she saw them playing outside, she called them and she took them. And many years later, I heard a speech by one of the people who were Drachim in that place, and he was talking about the Holocaust and all that. So I went to him afterwards and I said, "Do you remember my sister? Her name? No, I don't remember." He said, "My mother came to take them out away." That was your mother? Oh, we wrote a whole part. Do you want the part? We wrote the whole kfutza. I wrote about what happened. So I said, "Yeah, I'd like to have it." So he sent it to me. I'm telling you, so horrible he spoke about my mother, like she was a witch. And these are our children. I said, that's Shomer HaTzair. That's the Shomer HaTzair. So anyway, she brought them to Switzerland, and she couldn't bring them to us. We were elementary. I was in elementary school, and the young ones, they didn't go to Bechlad. So the girls were ready for high school. The girl at least a year already. So she brought them to a very good place, Mizrahi, not Haredi, and that's where they were until my parents. She tried to bring my father to Finland, as a chazan, and because the Finnish language and Hungarian a little זה דומה אחד.
It's a bit similar.
Yeah, similar. So she said that there was no mikveh, even one mikveh. She said, okay, I can't be in a place where there's not even one mikveh. My mother said that, So they came back again to Switzerland, and they were waiting for visas to the U.S. My mother had a lot of. She had two brothers that arrived to the States. One of them even was in the army in the Second World War, and from my father's side, they were cousins, all kinds of cousins that also arrived before that. My father's brother, the one who was a rabbi, 11 years. There were so many agunot. So he wrote a sefer about agunot and brought it to my father because he was the rabbi, but in a smaller place, and my father was in Budapest. So and the kehillah loved my father very much because he was a very good chazan. So he brought the book of my uncle to be the dinim shel agunot, mamash dinim shel
the laws of agunot.
Yeah, the laws of agunot. And it had to be taken out quickly because there were a lot of them. So the kehillah, my father's kehillah, they paid for the hotzah. It wasn't very, very, very elegant and everything. And my father sent a few to the States, and they nisharu.
They stayed there.
Yeah, when later on my father was in the States, so he made another copy of that. And when I got married, when the rest of the family got married, David, I'm sure he also has one of those. So that remained of the uncle who was taken to Auschwitz with 4 children, and at least that it's a very, very important sefer because they didn't have so many dinim of the agunot. So that's one of the things.
Agunot, I just have to explain for those that don't know. It means
they don't know if the husband is alive
or not, and then what do they do? Can they remarry? Can they not remarry?
Nachon. And it was very important. Mamash. So he did that before he was taken to Auschwitz. He finished with taking that out, and then he was killed.
Bracha, I have to. Sorry for interrupting, but I have to ask you: when did you first meet your sisters? Now they're back in Switzerland.
Nachon.
Do you remember your first meeting?
No, I didn't see them. All the time that I was in Switzerland, I didn't see them.
You never saw them all the time?
No. Because they were probably strict, who's going to take I was 6 years old until the age of 10. I was over in that children's home. I wouldn't know how to go there. And I wrote a lot to my mother. I wrote and... but there was hardly any answer.
So when did you first see your sisters?
Gitti, our oldest, she was in charge of bringing us to the States. I could have had twice already U.S. citizenship. I didn't want them. If they separated the parents. They gave visas to my parents. Why? Because they had a relative, this one had a relative, so there won't be a burden on the U.S.
Yeah.
Slicha, that's the way to do it. Separate children who went through the Holocaust, and they have to be 4.5 years, they have to be separated from the parents. Well, who does that? That's the U.S. I don't know who was. I think Roosevelt. He was. Yeah. He was anti-Semite. His wife was not. But
Eleanor was actually very pro-Jewish, but FDR Roosevelt did very little to help her.
No, they could have bombed those trains.
When the Rabbonim were marching, he didn't come out to meet the rabbis.
They didn't make a big effort to save the Jews. Bichlalo. They didn't make any effort to save the Jews. And only at
the very end they had they decided to have a committee to save, and they did only at the very end.
Who was left already? Because So
did your parents get a visa to go?
They got, because I told you they had relatives. My mother had 2 brothers there, and they were working. One was a silversmith, and the other one was also a chazan. And from the father's side, there were a whole bunch of cousins who probably they wrote to them to the those who give the affidavit to come to the U.S. So they wrote that they'll be responsible, that there shouldn't be a burden on the U.S.
So when did they leave?
So they left as soon as possible. As soon as they got the kids were Sudarim, the boys were in Israel, in Palestine. It wasn't Israel yet, and the 2 girls were in what was the place? The place where they went. I forgot already. Beliber. I think that's the place where was the high school age. And I think in Beit Vegan there is one of the family still there, but I've never met him. And we children, we had to wait until 1949. Can you imagine? The war was over already for so long, and little children. He was 1 year old. He was 5 years old when he saw the parents again. That alone.
So where was your brother, your younger brother?
He was with us. He was with us. Where should he go? The mother she didn't get visa for him. She got visa only for her and for her husband.
So
that's
your sister and your young brother stayed in this.
3 children. We were together by Madame Goldberg by then. So she didn't deserve we should go and visit her, definitely. And the six I asked her how's the daughter. She said they brought her to the Yam HaMelach, and and she even married, but she didn't have children, and she was nifter before her mother. She was nifter, maybe in her 50s.
Married.
Well, no, she married. Yes, she married. She was a very smart girl, Mamasha. I really enjoyed being with her.
I can't believe. So your parents, they had to take the visa, but they wouldn't allow for the children to come in as well.
And she didn't think that she will be stuck over there for 4 years. She, you're how do you say? You're a refugee. The Swiss were also happy to let them go. They didn't want to have a whole bunch of refugees over there. So I don't think that the Swiss loved us so much. I'm telling you about family. This Madame Goldberg. She came from her father was a big rabbi in Zurich. She was from a very good family, and from good. Some Jews in Switzerland were good,
Did you ever hear of Recha Sternbuch?
Ma?
Have you ever heard the name Recha Sternbuch?
I read about her.
So she was amazing. She was also
she was born in Switzerland.
In Switzerland, in Montreux. She and her husband and her husband's
So they brought people over to Switzerland.
They brought over. They helped. They really went hard. They really helped tremendously to help save Yidden.
And then where did she go? To the U.S. afterwards?
She stayed in Switzerland.
She's in Switzerland. So that's about it.
But your sisters, your elder sisters.
Okay.
I'm sure you would have wanted to meet them when they were still there.
Of course. But in the meantime, I had my life over there in the children's home. I had 2 younger brother and sister over there with me, and my youngest brother and my sister Malka. So it wasn't that I was completely with that family, and I wrote a lot to my mother, but I hardly got any answer. I don't know what happened. And she was probably very busy over there also. She had, my father, I told you, he wasn't always well. He had a very good voice, but he had to be cuddled, really, mamash. And she cuddled him a lot. So he had always a job as a chazan, always.
In America as well?
In America also. And she wanted to open a factory in the Lower East Side for I told you she was a very good seamstress. And she did, and then one day she comes to there. I wasn't there already. That was when I was already in Israel. She finds that she had a partner, a Jewish partner. He changed the locks. So she had to start again from the beginning. And when I left the States,
how did you get to the States?
Okay, how did I get to the States? So probably my mother sent the tickets, for the. And Gitti, Zichronah Livracha, she was in charge. I'm telling you, she was the best in the family, the best, the smartest, the most beautiful, whatever you want to say good about her, that was Gitti. She never fought with her younger siblings. Never. I'm the oldest. I deserve this. No, never. She never did that. I'm talking about later on in life. But they probably got the tickets. The girls in where they were in the high school place, and then they hitimut, and we got on the train.
Were you together with Gitti?
Yeah, she was. Maybe she came. Maybe someone came to take us to join us together. The 5 we were 5.
Now I have to ask you: when you first saw your 2 sisters, your elder sisters, do you remember that encounter when you met them for the first time after so many years?
I was happy to see that I have relatives. Of course.
But it must have been extremely emotional when you met them.
I don't remember, but I know that she was very responsible. She was such a responsible person. Because Switzerland, doesn't have a way out to this ocean. Yeah. So we had to go from there to France. from Switzerland, we had to go by train to France, and to go sometime to hotel. All this Gitti arranged everything.
And who was, there was Gitti?
She and my sister, but she was not the leader. The leader of the family was Gitti all the time. She and this is who knows what they did in order to survive after that the cousin was caught, on the train. So all this keta, this.
We were all 5 young children.
But
how old was Gitti at this time?
She was born in 1932. Yeah, she was born in 1932. She was born in 1932, and Miriam was born in 33, and then Mordechai was born in 35, and David in 36. So what did I say? She was born in 32. So how 1940. 45 nagid, 45, so how old was she? 13? What? 13?
So...
No, she was older than that.
A bit older than that. Yeah.
I think she was about 16, maybe 15 or 16. Maybe. But she was in charge of us on the train, and then getting on the boat, and taking us, mamash, like a grown-up. Mamash, she did everything like a grown-up. And my mother waited for us at the in New York. And we were taken to Borough Park.
Okay, so your meeting with your mother, did your father also come in and see you?
No, I think it was only my mother.
And how was your meeting with your mother? Because you've been separated for...
Not only that, I forgot Hungarian. I spoke German, and I spoke Schweizerdeutsch a little bit, and French. Kita alle Bett Gimel I learned in French.
And no English?
No English.
But when you first saw your mother after...
So we probably spoke a few words in Hungarian.
How was the
and we spoke maybe German. And German I understood, because Schweizerdeutsch, So we probably spoke with each other in German.
But Bracha, how was the encounter when you saw your mother after being separated?
I don't remember. Of course, I kissed her. Of course, we're kissing. Hungarians are very kissing kind. Yeah. So I'm sure she gave a kiss.
And definitely. Your father as well, when you saw him?
Also,
it must have been very emotional, extremely.
But it was horrible for us for so long to be separated from the family.
But did you feel? And this is a difficult question. But did you feel immediately connected, or was there?
Yes.
Because there are cases where, because of the separation, when the children meet the parents, like in the kinder transport, there were some that did survive the parents, and when they met, they didn't have such a connection because they were separated for so long.
I resembled my mother, not only Chitzoni, but also she was also a big talker. I can talk with you till tomorrow, And I told you, I appreciate my mother now. Every morning in Borough Park, she picked up the phone and spoke to her older sister. They were in hiding. She was blonde. That sister, my mother was dark. She went in hiding, and one of her daughters, blonde, she worked as a cleaner in the house. So they had food, and later on, they came to the States. First, they tried here in Israel, and then they went to the States. So she lived also in Borough Park. I think her husband died, and she had beautiful sons. All the sons were shot, and the daughters they were alive. So she had about 10 children, I think, 5 boys. One son was alive. He was a mute. He was deaf. He was my age. So then he was about 5 years old, and so they didn't kill him. Maybe they hit him, or who knows what. He stayed, and so they tried here in Israel, and then they went. They went because they had I told you the Zinger family, those who were in the glass house. At the end, they arrived here in Israel. He was a rabbi in Givat Shmuel, and so they were a little bit. Then even if a person had one room, they shared it with the. Well, they didn't have a refrigerator. Someone from the States had to send it to them. They didn't have. When I came in 1956, there was no toilet paper. You had to use newspapers. Israel was a primitive country when I arrived in 1956. It was 8 years old, the country. So people who are here now, they don't appreciate what they have. They're willing to give to the leftists. They're willing to give the whole country to the Arabs. Even in the time of Ben Gurion, there was never an Arab party. They had communist party. They had a communist. But that was the worst that they. But otherwise, and the Chiloni Jews, they worked on the kibbutzim. They worked in agriculture a lot. Nachon, they were not religious. They didn't keep Shabbos. They didn't do. But they appreciated what they had. They mocked the Jews that came from the Holocaust. They mocked them, and they didn't care that they went into hospitals because they didn't. They thought that why didn't they fight? Why were they Kutzon Tebach? They went like sheep.
Sheep to the slaughter.
But if they would have been there, they would have done the same thing.
You must never judge somebody until you're in their place.
Until you go on his feet. Because first of all, the Jews in Europe, they went with payers and all that. Now you're going to take a man who has 10 children, let's say, all of them with payers. They're going to start cutting it. They're cutting the payers and make him look like a German or whatever. First of all, you have to teach them also all the. Okay, say you're Christian thing, whatever they say in the churches. A rabbi should teach his 10 children, take off this, and now you have to be a goy. How can they didn't go into the heart of the people who suffered. They really suffered, and they were willing to give their lives to Kadosh Baruch Hu because I went to give a lecture about the Holocaust. So at the end, the teacher who was over there were not religious people, and it was Yom HaShoah Chachon, Mashaya.
The last Yom HaShoah.
And he asked me, how can you be religious? How can you believe in God when you were in the Holocaust? So I get questions. I don't prepare myself nothing. So I just told him one word. I said, open up the Sefer Breshit. Breshit. What's written over there? God created the world. The non-religious people, they say, no, it was chemistry and all that stuff, all that stuff.
Evolution.
Yeah. So in Sefer Breshit, who can create? Can you create a world? Can I create a world? I mean, how can I be on the level of God? You can't ask a question like that. Where was God during the Holocaust? He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew. Maybe if there wouldn't have been a Holocaust, there wouldn't have been a Meditat Israel. Who knows? The Christians were so bad with us that they had such guilty conscience at the end. Okay, let them have a little country. Okay, but it's not that's not the way you're supposed to say. How can you be religious when you were in the Holocaust? You saw there were so many nisim, even with us. It was a nest that
there were so many miracles.
Yeah, we took the place of my aunt. They mistook my aunt for my mother. So that's only one example. How Bechol survived, and he Shalom Mandelbaum, the one who was taken, the football player, and Baruch Hashem he went through Auschwitz and he got married, he had children, Baruch Hashem.
And he remained.
Yes, of course. He was also Chazan. There was a lot of Chazanim in the family. Anyway, we are not on the level of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We are human beings. Can we create a world?
And Bracha, you always kept your emunah, you always kept your faith?
Of course. First of all, I had a good example. Both my parents were really religious. Really religious, not just,
And your brother David and your
Yeah, Nachon. He sent them. I told you they had two uncles here, one from this side, so I'm sure they were also looking at that.
Very good influence.
That they should go to religious places and should not go to non-religious places. They to learn high school. First they were in elementary yet. When they arrived, they were in elementary. So. We'll do another.
And then, Bracha, can I just ask you, with regard to Kastner, and this is also a very difficult question, because
he was killed here.
But he did save you on the train.
Of course.
But he is very controversial, extremely controversial.
But how can I be controversial? If not him, I wouldn't be alive.
So, but how is your feeling when you hear the name Kastner?
I tell him that he also was in danger. He had to face Eichmann not once and many times. He could take out his gun and shoot him any minute. He's only a Jew. How many Jews did Eichmann kill like this? 1, 2, 3. So that was also gvura. That was also bravery to go and make the deal with Eichmann. He was only a Jew, nothing more.
They'll say that he knew and he didn't warn the community, and
he's a human being, and he did whatever he could. I'm telling you, he was under the boot of the Nazis. Also, he himself was under their boot. If he made too much trouble, they said, "Okay, you can go on the train. Go." You know, any day he could have been shot. He could have been on the train to Auschwitz. He was only a Jew. For them, Jew was like dust under your feet. That's what the Jew was for the Nazis. They were the Übermensch, you know, that the very very. They thought of themselves like who knows what.
Very superior.
They were superior. That they can do everything that they want. I mean,
when you came to America, now I'm jumping a little bit, but when you came to America, did you start learning English quickly?
First, I spoke fluent French. And French and English are my sister tongues. The word table, your table in French, you write it exactly the same way. It's only the accent is different. And so many words are like that. I think in 1 month I learned English already. And you hear it all around. You go to the children's, you know, where the swings are.
The playground.
The playgrounds and everyone speaks English.
And then you went into a school.
They asked me the way somewhere, and they asked me, "Are you born here?" I said, "No." I'm telling you, it was.
Bracha, sure. And you went to Jewish school.
Right away, my Beis Yaakov.
This was in the Lower East Side, or
no. The Beis Yaakov was in Williamsburg, and we lived in Borough Park, so I had to go on the train. I had For the first few until the first was in Borough Park. They had a Beis Yaakov. So I for the lower classes, I think I was 10 years old, 10 and a half when it was April, so I finished that year, I think in the fourth grade, or the third, I don't remember. But I know that I was the biggest, the tallest over there because I'm short. And then a nurse came in to check out the eyes. And for me, I had glasses already from age 8. I mean, that in Switzerland they arranged for me to get glasses. And the nurse said that there's a way of saving your eyes. They shouldn't go worse and worse and worse. And that's in a public school. So we spoke with my mother, and she said, "Okay, you'll go." So we went to. You see, she was not fanatic. She was very religious, but this to save the eyes of a daughter. Okay, so she's willing. So I went to it wasn't far from where we lived, and so there was a public school, and there was a special class like Chinuch Miyuchad, but now it was to save your eyes. One teacher, a wonderful woman was, and she doesn't use the blackboard at all. She comes around. There were maybe 10 children in that class, not more than that, and I joined the regular classes also. Like homework I did with her, and but I went always. So I was there until the age until I graduated over there. I graduated, and then I went to Beis Yaakov because then I was already 13. So until the age of 13, your eyes change. You can and you can save that it shouldn't go higher. Here they make every year they change the numbers of the kids, and I'm telling you it's stuck parnasa for the stores, you know, to make. But now, mashallah, I read without glasses. Yeah, because. And
when you were in school, did you make friends with the American kids?
Yes, when I was in public school. That's what I'm saying. Why is there intermarriage? They don't have horns. They look just like you and me. I mean, the goyim in America, they look just like Jews who don't put on the yarmulke. That's all. A lot of Jews don't put on yarmulke, you know. So I had a friend here. She was a Christian. No.
And did any of your friends ask you what happened in the Holocaust, or did they know that you were a survivor?
I until the age of 50, I didn't want to talk about the Holocaust.
Till the age of 50.
And why? I was married to a Holocaust survivor. And he didn't want to talk. I was cleaning his suit, and in one of his pockets I found a piece of soap. I said, "What is this?" He said, "Put that back. Maybe my parents are in there." And he said, "There's a place in Netanya, I think, or somewhere where they have a grave where they put the soaps in there. They're parts of the Jews." So he understood that he was a religious man, my husband, and He saw his parents taken away. He was 20. He was 20 years old during the Holocaust. I was 5.5, 6 years old. So there's a very big age difference. After I finished teacher seminary, I learned to be kindergarten teacher here in Israel. So they wanted to take me into the army because I wasn't an American citizen. I was stateless.
When did you come to
1956.
And how old were you?
I was 18. I just finished high school from Beis Yaakov.
And you wanted to come. You were determined to come.
Yeah. I didn't see my brothers for 12 years. 12 years I didn't see my brothers. They didn't have the money to come. We didn't have the money to go. So it's not like now. I came by boat. 1956, you didn't come by plane.
And you hadn't seen your brother yet?
No, I came with Bnei Akiva. Bnei Akiva. So I was in Bnei Akiva all the time, and then when they made a trip for 1 year in Israel, so I said, okay, Hachshara. So I went. And my mother didn't want me to go. She wanted me to marry me off. And I said, no. And I said, I'm telling her, now we're going to wear a wig. I'm just going to cover my hair. That's what I always told her.
And when you came here, you saw your two brothers?
Yeah. So David was in the army then.
Yeah.
And Mordechai was in yeshiva.
Now Mordechai went to Kfar Ra'eh and
he went to other yeshivas also. He looked all the
Kazarav, he was in.
And when I got married, Mordechai was at my wedding also. He was not in mental hospitals. All this, but the problems with the mental hospitals came because it wasn't. But I have a psychologist now, free. We spoke with Zoom. And from the Kupat Cholim, and she's a Russian lady, not religious, but she's wonderful. She's really, and you hear that I can talk. I can, so she mamash listens, and sometimes we go to her Herzl, when it's better weather, and I feel okay. If not, then we talk on the Zoom or we talk on the telephone, and that's it.
And Bracha, I'm asking you again because it's so interesting and so important. When you met Mordechai and David. And now you're 18 years old, and they're a bit older than you.
Of course. How
was that interaction when you met them?
Yeah, that I was in Kibbutz Yamne. That's where was the Hachshara. So David comes visiting with Madim, who was in the army then. He was in Nachal, I think. And he comes visiting. So the girls say, "Is this your boyfriend?" So David said, "Don't you see that we resemble each other? This is my sister."
But it must have been so emotional to see him and to. But you were separated for many years.
12 years.
12 years is a long time.
Okay, and you can't make it up. You can't. He married a girl that I don't think is besettled for him. He went to the States when I was already here. I think I was married. Then I was learning kindergarten teacher. Then I was learning kindergarten, and my parents got divorced, and my father came here. My father came to live here, and then David was going on shlichut. He finished the army, and he came to say goodbye to me in where I was learning in Givat Washington. That's near Ashdod.
My daughter did Midrasha in Givat Washington.
Okay, so I was among the first, not the first, but among the Dov Rappel, Chaver Kibbutz Yamne. He was still a princess. She was different people. It was very good, and I didn't know Hebrew at all because we were in the Hachshara. We spoke English all the time, and it was really. I went to sleep every night with crying because I couldn't talk to the girls, and I didn't understand what I was learning. But at the end of that year, the first year, I had a book on the life in the kibbutz, very funny, and I finished the book, and I was so proud of myself. I finished the book, and on the summer vacation, I met the kids who were from my Hachshara. They were new in Yerushalayim, so I met them, and they started speaking to me in English, and I answered them in Hebrew to show off my Hebrew, because then already the second year, I understood already everything that was going, but it was very hard. Hebrew is a hard language to learn.
And let me ask you, when did you meet your husband?
So when I finished as a kindergarten teacher, the army started going on me because I wasn't an American citizen, and I was an Israeli citizen, and they went through it. They found me, and they wanted, and usually the girls at that time, and even now, at the age of 16, you give a declaration that you're religious, and then they don't take you. I came to the country when I was 18. I came ready to do I went to rabbis, said, "Can you stop this?" And no, we can't because you're already too old. So I was already like 20, 21. So I could have been but I didn't want to go. I felt a religious girl, and religious girls didn't want to go to the army. So my aunt, the one who my mother took her place on the Rakevet Kastner, so she took it under her, took me under her wing, and she found shidduch. So he was from Ashkelon, and the rabbi of Ashkelon was the rabbi in the same shul where my father was chazan. Yeah, so they knew each other, and
in Hungary, in Budapest.
Yeah, Budapest. So they made the shidduch, and he was a Holocaust survivor. I was very sorry for him. He was 20. No, in the Holocaust he was 20, and I was 6 years old. Okay, so 14 years difference, and he wanted maybe 2 children. I wanted 5 children, but we have 3 children. So Baruch Hashem for this that I had.
Did he ever talk about his experiences?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Not to you?
No, after I had that shock with the soap, I didn't want to talk. He used to go to meetings once a year with those who are here in Israel, and they went through the Holocaust. Maybe not at the same place. So there was, and I didn't want to go. Lo mashachoti. They didn't have Yad Vashem. They didn't have yet. They had something on Har Tzion.
Yes, it's the Martef HaShoah.
Yeah, Martef HaShoah. Once I went over there, and Rav Zinger, every Tisha B'Av, he used to sit over there in Har Tzion. No, he couldn't get this. He couldn't see. He could only see Har Tzion. He sat somewhere where he could lashkiv al Har Tzion, and look, Baruch Hashem, I have a lot of joy from the children.
I just want to ask, when did your husband not speak at all about? You don't know what your husband. He never opened up to you.
No, but he opened up to my younger son's older son, Oz, who was 5 years in the army in Kravi, and he spoke to him before he passed away, so that and he made a whole movie out of it, like you're doing. He made a whole movie out of it, and we saw it in my younger son. He lives near Ashdod, Merkaz Shapira. You don't know if you know where it is. So he in the synagogue, not where Ezrat Nashim, they have a sick over there. He made people who were interested. They saw them. He did a very, very beautiful job. So I went also to see that. So he spoke. I don't think he appeared so much. He didn't take pictures of him, but he spoke all the time. My husband, and Beseder, it's good that he opened up at least to the grandchildren.
But to you, you couldn't ask him to open up to you, even though you were married?
I was his last child. He was so. The children were so important for him, and his wife was mamash lo chashuv. So when my daughter was in high school, I wanted to get divorced already, and she begged me not to make. Now you see, they were not charedim, kippah sruga, but still, a get is a get. It spoils for the children. So beseder, so I waited until the youngest got married. About 6 months after the youngest got married, then I got divorced, and I went right away to the States. I went to the States to take care. That's what.
So Bracha, here you have a picture of your 2 brothers, Mordechai and David.
When they arrived in Israel, when they arrived there was no Medinat Israel, 1946. It's written in the back.
And Mordechai is the taller one.
Yeah, yes.
And here you have a picture later on of Mordechai
visiting his father in the nursing home.
And that's your father.
Yeah.
And what age was your father, Nefta?
I think 90.
90.
Yeah.
And your mother?
And my mother at 87. She was very heavy. Yeah, you could see that she was a heavy lady all the time. But that didn't make any changes. She did what she had to do, even with the odef mishkal that she had. Just saving the she had in Borough Park, she had a safe, and once she opened it up a little bit, so I saw there was something in there. So she said that's a map of Belsen, and she didn't want it. She also didn't want to talk about the Holocaust. She didn't, because she felt bad. There's so many of the family died. My father's family, I told you, Asara B'Tevet, he was always on the bed and Gamaru. You know, when he was divorced already. As soon as he got divorced, he went to Israel.
Your father?
Yeah, and here in Netanya, he had a lot of. I told you he had a big family. So and Netanya, he settled over there, and he was also chazan over there, and the family helped him. At the end, he married a cleaning lady, the one who was cleaning. And he got the family helped him get an apartment in Netanya, where the not the Satmar Rebbe, the other one who built up Netanya, who was also in the Holocaust. He lost his wife and 10 children. You know that.
From Kiryat Sons.
Yes. So he got an apartment. My father got an apartment. I paid my husband and I, we paid the monthly mashkanta, and David also paid. And then at the end, it was already his. So he wanted to separate himself from this woman. She didn't understand him bichlal. She used to go, when he was working as a chazan, she used to go and take his check from the those who paid for the chazan. She took it for herself. He used to bring me the laundry from her, and he says, you know, your mother in 1 month she didn't make as much sorrows as this one does in one day, or something like that. So what could I do? I'm telling you, he was like a child. My mother, she really took good care of it. Right after the divorce, he meets me. I was in high school, so he meets me outside of the apartment, and he takes a watch or thing, and he says, "Give this to your mother." I said, "I want to remarry her." Maybe a month after that, and so I brought it to my mother, and then she asked me, "Should I marry him again?" I said, "No."
You said no.
Yeah, because he was making debts. He was going to California, all kinds of places. And being a chazan, everyone wanted him, but he had to be there in a hotel or whatever. The debts all came to my mother. You know, he made life very hard for her. And you're not asking me about the 6 children in the family.
So what? Your 2 sisters never got married, and
all those who never got married, they became sick. You see?
Oy.
You see, those who married. They're pulling it, you know. The Malka she has a very nice husband, and Baruch Hashem, very nice children, 8 children. She has 1 son who's a melamed. Mamash, you can lick your hands. He's so good. Everyone wants to be in his class. Mamash lives in Ramot, and Mamash she had first she had six daughters. The first one was twin girls, and then she had another 4 daughters, and then she had the first son and the second son.
And you're very close with her?
What?
You're very close with her?
No, I'm not that close, because she's Haredit and I'm not. The first thing when I walk in, did you daven today? You know, so I don't like pressure or anything like that. But I love her. She, you know, she's my sister.
And how did you get your elder sister? You said you kidnapped her and you brought her here?
Yeah. Okay. I'm also forgetting. You know, it's good that you're because next month and maybe I'll forget the whole thing. I'm forgetting everything. So they're such cute boys, mamash. Anyway, how was it? First of all, my mother was nifter. Until I was with my mother.
Your mother never remarried?
No, she loved him. But he was making life hard for her. He needed special cooking. He needed like this one he bought me the laundry for him. My mother did everything, and she was a heavy lady. You know, for her. But so she was nifted from cancer of the stomach. But she was a really great. I'll tell you, Bemet, how she died. I'll tell you, because it's also very special. I was with her until her last breath. But Rega, what was I talking about now? I forgot.
So how did you bring your sister?
Yeah, okay. So first my mother was nifter, and she was my sister's legal guardian. Otherwise I would have been able to do this already, to bring her earlier to Israel. And my other sister, she was a social worker. She also wanted to be our legal guardian. My mother didn't want to relent of her that she's the legal guardian, and so she had a little apartment, I was, first of all, I was in 1956. I was here. She showed me the important places in New York. This Gitti, and she went with me up to the boat. Mamash. She was. I'm telling you, a malach, an angel. She was an angel. She worked also in the UN, I think, a little bit translating. She also went to college on scholarships because she was so smart also. So the other one, she went, Miriam, she only went 1 year. Then she had to stop because she didn't have the money, and she worked herself through college, and she did two. She did two MS. She has MSW. Edith, the second one. Gitti, she had only the first Torah Rishon, and
first degree.
Yeah, the first degree, and so I was going. She showed me I didn't ask her nothing. It was her going away present for me. She didn't say. She did it quietly. Whatever she does, she was a motik. I'm telling you. Why do you think I brought her like this? Because I remember her when she was 100% okay. People saw her, they ruined her completely. So, but for me, in my heart, she was my older sister who never fought with her younger siblings. Never. I used to get dresses from them because I was heavier, and Mamash never raised her voice to the parents. Also, she wanted to be not religious afterwards. Miriam, whatever Gitti did, she followed her. Because I think during the Holocaust also, she saved her sister. I told you what I read, that they even looked for in the garbage food, and Gitti did that. Whatever had to be done, she did it quietly, and she didn't say, flag, I did this and I did that. Never. She never made herself, so I'm an important person, or this, never. She was always very, I don't know how you say it in English, but she was
very tzanua. She was very modest.
Very modest about herself, and she also good looking. She was also good looking. She was
it's
never.
It's a pity that they never got married, the two elder sisters.
Well, I'll tell you why. So I was here, and the whole year in the kibbutz, I didn't get any letters from the States, and you don't pick up phones. Though in 1956, you don't pick up the phone. At the end, I got a letter from my sister, the one who lives here in Beit Vegan. She said that Gitti had a nervous breakdown. And the doctor said she had to be hospitalized. Because I told you, my mother was from the generation that doctor is like God. You do exactly that. Okay, so they put it. Then in Brooklyn, they had a very I don't know what hospital it was. She was in the hospital, and right away they started giving her strong medications. My mother found an apartment for her not far from there. So Shabbat she used to come to eat by my mother. And she did her own laundry, and also, how do I know? Because I went to visit. My mother had a fall. I was still married, and my mother had a car went backwards on her, and so I had to go and help my mother, and I went to sleep by my sister, by Gitti, and she was already hospitalized. But she was allowed to be at home in her apartment. In the morning, she used to take the train, the subway, and to go to the hospital where she was. She was the librarian over there, So, and I saw she took her laundry to the laundromat by herself. She went shopping for herself. And why did she have to be in and they I saw her far later when she was by me. I through my family doctor in the Yishuv Eli. I lived in Yishuv Eli, so I wrote in English as though I was the doctor, that we were asking her medical file from the last medical hospital where she was and they sent us it, and you should see how much medication she had. They ruined her completely. And even there was a letter that said she was never in the Holocaust. A letter like that. You see, that's what I'm saying. The people here in Israel, those who did not go, not those who were born in the Holocaust and came here, they knew how to relate. But so many people, those who took care of them in the mental hospitals, they didn't even know how to talk to them. Nothing. Where my father was in nursing home, that's already different. the nursing homes, I'm not saying it's good to be a nursing home. You know, my oldest son, he says I should go to Dior Mugan already. I said, no, I'm not going. Because it's enough what I saw that they die in these places. So Mordechai Mashal, he was in Dior Mugan. And they overdosed him. He died from overdosage. And my sister also, you know. Then so how did I come to take her? Okay. So my mother was nifter. So the apotropos, the hospital, the mental hospital, put it on me. I said, but I live in Israel. They said, it doesn't matter. You can be her legal guardian. Okay. Beseder. So then I started thinking that I should bring her. I had already my house in the issue. So I went back to the States, and I was after my mother was nifter already, and I tried to get her to come out. They made a whole how do you call it? The mishpat,
like a judgment.
A judgment. They said you're taking she's an American citizen. She made it before she was sick. She was an American citizen. But whatever help she get, they wouldn't have been able to get it here in Israel. They don't give the money, the American money. They don't give it to here, American sick people. Anyway, so where did I stop?
So you tried to. They made a judgment.
Yeah, they had a lawyer. I had a lawyer, and their lawyer said to take her to Israel is like a very bad thing, very, very bad thing. Okay. So I couldn't do anything. I couldn't fight them. I couldn't do anything. Okay, so I went back to Israel, and then I had friends there because I lived also in Denver. I took my mother from New York, who lived about 5 years in Denver, and I moved also my sister to the mental hospital in Denver, and that's the one who said that you have to be her legal guardian now. So that your mother died, you have to be, and. But they didn't. I was her legal guardian. They didn't.
Why did you move to Denver from New York?
Because New York. Have you ever been to New York? So you know the winters are very harsh. The summers are very hard also.
Oh, and your mother was alone there. She
was already in assisted living. She was in a very nice place, and sometimes my younger brother came to sleep over by her. And I told him, why don't you have your own apartment? And he used to run out of the hospital. Gitti, she never. I told you she was never alima. She never. He was alim. He already gave me a patch. My brother, and he also pushed my mother off the stairs down. So he was really, really alim.
And he never got married, the younger brother?
No. The chaval. I mean, he didn't get the treatment. 4 years he didn't see his parents. He was from the age of 1 to the age of 5.
He was traumatized.
So, when he should have gotten the treatment and someone to shpochet alev, then he was good. He was a smart boy. He was really smart. And I wasn't there for bar mitzvah. I left when he was 12. I left Israel. I left the States with Minyan Kiva. But he wasn't wild and things like that. He was beseder. He went to yeshiva, and I don't know. I was here, and I don't know when he started being. But anyway, I got a letter from my sister Malka, and she said that she had a nervous breakdown, and they put her to the mental hospital. So what could I do? I tried to take her out, and I waited a little while, and then I spoke to rabbis over there in Denver, and they said they had another case like that with a sister, a daughter and a mother. The mother was sick, and they didn't allow to take her. They just took her. They advised me that I should take her. So I arranged it also. You know that I had a friend in Denver. She was working she was an Israeli. She was working in a travel agent. So she arranged, but at night she opened the thing for me, and so I had a ticket ready for her. And they knew that I come to visit her, and I always bring her back. So this time I took her, and I didn't bring her back. We went straight to the airport. They didn't know, that I'm not going to come back. I went to the airport, and we didn't bring hardly any luggage. There's one Rebbitzin in Denver. She said you can leave the stuff by me, and they're making aliyah. They'll bring it to you already. So that's the way. So first of all, I didn't bring her to live with me. I also brought her. She had a place ready in Givat Shaul, and I brought her over there. and the doctor said the one who received her, he said she's okay. She shouldn't have come here to a nursing home. You should have put her. I said okay. We said we'll wait. In the meantime, my father was already in nursing home, and he had a doctor who was also overdosing my father, and that doctor turned out he was the doctor in Givat Shaul for my sister. And when I heard that, I knew that she's not going to stay here, and I hired a privately psychiatrist that he should go over. I had a doctor in Denver. It was in Denver. That he went through all her file, didn't take 1 cent from me, a Jewish doctor, and he said if you keep her here again, you leave her here, in 6 months she's going to die, because from the over medication she couldn't eliminate the medications already. It was stuff, and then again and again, and they gave her cigarettes to smoke. I mean, mamash, horrible. So he knew what he was doing. He said she's going to die in 6 months, and he gave me a 3-page thing in English. So I had that with me, and I showed it to that private psychiatrist that I took for my sister in Givat Shaul. He went through. He said, "Just take her out. That's it. Take her out. She should not be here in Gemarno." So I took her out. And first, I had a friend in Ramot, and then I had my apartment already in Eli. So she came to me in Eli, and I told them, that she's not completely quiet yet. But first of all, I didn't give her any medications. Near Eli there's Ofra, and there was a homeopathic person, so he started giving things homeopathic a little bit. But first of all, I was sleeping in her room. She didn't wake up at night. Maybe in the evening I gave her something, but first of all, healthy food, and be in touch with the homeopathic people, And
she was happy to be here.
Of course, she didn't know Hebrew, but slowly she was learning. She was not.
And what happened to your other sister?
The other sister, she first of all, they made me her legal guardian, not my sister. And she was in Canada, and I was in Denver when they made me the legal guardian. So I could take her because I was her legal guardian. I didn't know what she wanted. She probably would have. That she was nifter about a year ago. This sister, the one in social work, she used to come and visit every 2 years here to see the nieces and nephews, and slowly when my youngest son was getting married, then she stopped coming. And I went to look for her. I was working in Denver and I was getting free tickets, and she was in Canada. So I went to look for her, and I found her, and she didn't want me to go in. She came out. And then I had to tell her that our mother was nifter. She was and I didn't tell her that our youngest brother also, he wasn't feeling well, and Marshall was there. So that's the way it was. So I wanted to be close with my second sister, but she didn't want. I wanted to visit her. I went the second time before she died. I went to visit her in I didn't know where she lived. She may have moved. And I went to Jewish nursing homes. They didn't even let me see the list. So, mamash, I had for a whole month the ticket, and I sent to my oldest son. I sent him. I said, they're giving me a depression here. They don't let me do anything. The Jews. I'm telling them we're not helping. So he said, so you don't have to stay there. So I changed my ticket for 2 weeks in Gemarno, and I came back. They nothing. And then about a year after that, 2 years after that, I was notified that she was nifter, and I didn't see her. And then I also had very nice lawyer over there. She all her stuff, because there were no relatives, nothing. So we had to know who she is. Maybe and not only that, they put her into the cemetery where Christians and Jews are together, without any that. How do you call that? No
religion.
Yeah, no religion. So this lawyer, she has a daughter here now. She couldn't come to visit. Otherwise, I've been emailing with her. Anyway, she sent me a picture of all the stuff. There's a machsan, there's a storage place where they put people who die and don't have any relative. So they put it there until someone comes and asks. So we were asking. So they went through all her stuff and they found a picture when she graduated, the first degree or second degree. But I saw that picture and I identified her that it's really my sister. And I wanted to bring her here because I have a great. I told you I have my sister here also. My mother, I brought her to be married in Bet Shemesh, and my sister also because I had a son living. My youngest son lived in Bet Shemesh then, so he the protector he got the place. So Gitti, I brought her at the end after the first. She lived by me all close to 20 years.
Really, she lived with you?
Yeah, every year we went on vacations in the mountains. I took her even by plane to Eilat, you know.
So nice.
Yeah, she was a graduate person. She was an intelligent person.
And she loved your children, and she.
Yeah, of course she was. Yeah, but you know, most of the Haredim they don't want to have anything to do with mental things. And look, I'm not a psychiatrist, and I didn't know how to. I just fed her healthy stuff and reduced the medication. There was a naturalist doctor that I brought her here, and he also gave some vitamins or things like that. Only that, and healthy food. And at the beginning she was going out, and I didn't know where she was in the yeshuv. So I used to call the people that, you know, those who are the guards, where she. No, she didn't go out and everything. So she was walking. And if anyone sees, please bring her home. I got also Kalnoid. You know Kalnoid, because the grocery store was further away. So she was sitting with me on the Kalnoid,
so nice.
And you know, it was Baruch Hashem that I could give her the you know, and I couldn't have done that if I would have been married. I was already divorced then, you know, and
you didn't want to get remarried.
I would have, but where do you get a person? I'm 83. How can I get marry someone with?
You don't look it, and you look so well. But I just want to ask you, Bracha, what message do you impart to your? I mean, you've gone through so much, and you've seen so much, and you've really experienced so many things in your life that people can't even imagine. But what message do you give to your grandchildren or to the future generations?
They should be good to, you know, the one that called now was my granddaughter. She lives in Ramat Eshkol, and that's where I fell last week. A week ago, I opened the driver closed the door, and I was with this carriage I was, and I started bleeding. 2 girls helped me. I'm telling you, I'm Israel. There's nothing like Israel. B'met, nachon, and.
So, and Israel.
Yeah, and Kamar, especially I'm telling you, they don't know me, and they helped me. They stopped the bleeding, and the bus driver was an Arab, and he came and Esa Pamim he said slicha, and he closed on me, and I like here's a pole, you know, that you have to hold, and I fell mamash, the whole length of my body was on the floor, and the girls right away came to help me. And he said, where do you want to go to Cheder Miyun? I said, no, I don't want to go to Cheder Miyun. It's full of corona. I just take me to Yad Sarah. And so he took me to Yad Sarah, and there I called my oldest son who lives in Ramot, and he was with me until 10 o'clock. And they wanted me to make a CT, to go to the emergency room, make a CT. So yesterday I made a CT of the head. I have already. Come on.
He's got it. It'll be good.
Yeah.
But what message do you tell your grandchildren if they ask you, or what? You know, you've gone through so much and you've seen so much.
Rega, this is going to be in English, the whole thing in English. And they don't know English so well. What should I do?
No, but for future generations, anybody watching.
Should I write? I'm afraid of writing because of the illnesses in the family. Because they're so Haredim, they're so afraid of mental illness. They're so stupid, I know. Baruch Hashem, if I would have been in mental illness, I should have been already now. I mean, my mother was never mentally ill. But she was from a different generation, you know, and I don't know. I think they didn't get the treatment. The children of the Holocaust. I'm not the only one. If you know someone who's my age, and was maybe in the Kastner train, then it would be nice to to talk a little bit with someone. But what I have to say,
you kept your emunah, you kept your faith.
Nachon, because the whole thing. And my mother also, she didn't talk a lot about that we were on the Kastner train. But I remember some things that the soldiers are holding. She's asking him to hold it. Then I remember you couldn't. I was already 6 years old, more than 6 and a half already.
You never ever doubted having faith in Hashem, or
No, how can I? How can I do? First of all, we're not on the level of. If you put that into your brain, that human beings are not on the level with someone who creates a world. How can we? Well, how can I? What you see, Hashem sees. He sees the future. He sees the present. He sees what the past. He sees everything. He wanted to if not Noach, he would have the whole world would have gone.
Okay, I just want to thank you so much. I'm just going to, because this
I'm a big talker. I can't stop talking.
You're amazing, but I really want to thank you. It's been for me, I must just tell you, such a privilege and an honor to be with you and to hear your stories.
You didn't ask me what games I played.
No, but you know what, your mother was a tzedekah, and your father, your whole family. Yeah. You just see the goodness.
But they came
and you have the goodness.
But they have, and David, as he's older, maybe he knew them better. The family, Mordechai also.
But
that David put him into the hospital.
I know, but meeting David and meeting you and just hearing your story and hearing how you have such emunah.
He was also over medicated.
But Bracha, it's been the greatest honor and a privilege, and you should just admire Vesrim in good health.
Amen.
Mazel bracha.
And there are still other people who haven't had their stories told. Huh?
I know, but Bracha, you know what I want to do?
What?
It's so nice. This is just to show your family, because this is, this is the nachas. This is really the nachas, and this is.
Well, he's married. He's 18. He's the only one. But this is my older brother, my older son.
Yeah. Can you just show the picture?
She lives in Ashdod. She lives in Ramat Eshkol.
It's beautiful.
She lives in Kfar Hasidim.
How many children, Ken and Hori, do they have?
Well, each one has the oldest one has.
How many children did your son have?
My son has 8. They're here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8.
Wow. If you could just show, it's beautiful. And here's a picture of your other son with his family.
Ken.
And here's a beautiful.
This is when I arrived in Eli. He came, this grandson, to help a little bit.
Wow,
but beautiful. he made 5 years in Kravi, 5 years in Kravi, and today he says he's not religious. So what can I do?
This is a picture of.
Yeah, that's him. This, and this is the same person.
And this is your daughter?
Yes. So she had cancer. So I try as little, and her husband is in a wheelchair already. So
your daughter?
Yeah. So her husband, he worked in the.
Here's a picture of your daughter.
Yeah, this is my daughter and her daughter, her oldest daughter.
You can just show here, and this is a picture of you with your.
With my firstborn. This is my firstborn.
And you've got such beautiful pictures. And here's a picture of your sister who lives here in Beit Begen.
Nachon, her wedding.
Well, you were at her wedding?
No, I wasn't. Was she at my wedding? I don't remember. No, she wasn't at my wedding. She didn't come yet. Afterwards, she came when I lived in Ashkelon.
And this is a picture of a kever.
Yeah, that's my mother's. He writes to my mother, David, dear mother, this is a picture we took in Budapest on the matzeva of your late father, Rav Mordechai Cohen. So there are great grandchildren, a lot of Mordechais in our family now. That's after him. It's after him, Mordechai. He was the head shochet. I told you he was the head shochet, and he died before the Holocaust. So they have graves, and his wife also, she died before that. So only they. And my father's parents, no one. No, he has no grave. Cousins, he has a lot of cousins. I told you in America, so they helped him financially. Also, they helped him, but I think it was okay that they got divorced, because it was hard for my mother to take care of him. It really. She was also getting older. And
look, your mother went and she helped with the other children.
Nachon.
So everything worked out, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah.
So it's been such an honor and a privilege to be with you, and you should just admire Vesrim in good health, Mazel, and all of Hashem's blessings.
So maybe you should be able to make a few more other.
And then this is such a beautiful picture that you have here.
Yeah.
You can just see. It's unbelievable.
And the next apartment, I'll invite you to come and visit. It'll do
so beautiful.
Rehov Chida. I'm going.
Oh, wonderful.
And it's good, Nachon.
It's very good. It's very good.
I can shop there. Everything here.
It's
Everything is
very
very
good.
hard.
I know. I just want to mention, going on that Kastner train, we wouldn't have any of these pictures. If you wouldn't have been on that Kastner train and stayed behind,
See?
it's Nissim. It's real miracles.
Nachon. You know what you just said. When someone's going to ask me, how can you be religious? So in Vakashat, and that a person like you said has to become religious, even if he wasn't, because if it wouldn't have been for religion, then we wouldn't have been able to go on Kastner train.
Thank you so much, and Baruch Hashem that you did.
Vakasha. The girls are all from my son, my oldest son. The boy belongs to my daughter, who does not live in Yerushalayim, and he has 4 sons. Very nice. He really learns hard. He does. My daughter has another son, and he works in computers, and he was also in the army working in computers, and she has 2 daughters who live now. I told you they moved where there's an elevator for. She also lived in Ramot, so they moved now to Neve Yaakov. And there she has an elevator, and he probably does computer work on.
And with the girls, they're all married.
They're all married. This one, she's the oldest. She has 7 children, and she's this number 2. She has 6 children, and she's number 3. She has 5 children, and she's number 4. She's waiting for her 3rd child now, and he has 4 daughters.
This must bring you such nachas.
Nachon. That's what
this is the.
And so when they ask this kind of when people ask, how can you be religious now? How can I not be religious? Hashem is making a chesed with me that I have enjoyed so much with the. She called me now, the granddaughter, that here. And he was not an easy baby. I talked with the granddaughters, but he was crying a lot. And Rabbi Zinger, the one that we went instead of him so he said he came to us, and in Ashkelon, and he heard him cry. The baby is end of at this age he had already a lot of grandchildren. So he said this age they have to or sleep or eat. And he's hungry, so he told me what to buy on the pharmacy, and I gave him, and he got the bottle. That was it. He didn't cry anymore. I'm telling you. So all the people, those who have a lot of. So here you can show this. This is the same. Did you put this also?
Yeah.
Okay, because I really love him very much. All these the children.
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful, and this is really the pictures of your dear family is really the nakama. That's the revenge.
And that's why people have to say thank you Hashem. Right. There are people. Look at those who didn't get married. Both my sisters. It hurts, of course. If we would have been even a bigger family, we could have been.
Well, Baruch Hashem, you should just have mazel bracha and nachas and maybe stream from your beautiful family.
Thank you very much for
I really appreciate it.
You did it, mamash, very b'tzura dina. You prepared your questions.
That's very kind of you. Bracha, your husband never spoke to you about his experiences in the
Very
Shire.
Very little.
Did it upset you that he couldn't open up to you?
No.
It never upset you?
No. Well, that was his
like his way maybe of.
That was how official. He doesn't make friends easily or think. I right away make friends. If I'll move over there now to a different area.
And you'll make friends straight away.
Yeah, right away, because you need the friend and I need the friend. Sometimes No. He had some friends. Mashal, he was a baker. He became first. He worked in Chaklaut, agriculture, in Ashkelon, and he arrived to Ashkelon because he had some from his shtetl. He was from Transylvania, so he spoke Romanian and Hungarian, and I didn't know a word of Romanian. So and he didn't know a word of English, So how did you So we spoke. First of all, Hebrew we spoke, but if we wanted the children should not understand, we spoke in Hungarian together. Both of us.
Oh, you'd speak in Hungarian. to each
Yeah.
other. Did your children understand Hungarian as well?
No, they forgot the whole thing. But I mean, then when they were small, they started understanding a little bit, but no. Anyway, so what was I talking about?
So with your husband, he never opened up to you about his experiences in the shop.
No, a little
family.
bit, just about his sister, that she was saved by the mother's sister, his mother's sister. The mother and the father and the grandmother went all together, and the grandfather and the grandmother, all of them together, all to Auschwitz, straight from what's his name, the one who was dividing the Jews when they came.
Mengele.
Mengele,
And
right?
which town did your husband grow up in? Where was he born?
He was born in Holmeo. Holmeo, it's in Pennsylvania.
And
He was the Bechor. He was the first.
he was the first.
And he had a younger son, a younger brother, and the youngest was a sister, and they had a soap factory over there, and the grandmother, she became a widow, and Mordechai, my husband, was sent by his mother to live with the grandmother to help with the agriculture. So he knew how to drive a tractor and all this stuff. When he was, I think he learned a little bit in yeshiva, but they needed him over there to help the Safta. So he was living over there. When the Holocaust came, so the whole family was together, sort of, you know.
And they were all.
He had an uncle, his mother's sister, who was in what's the capital of Romania?
Bucharest.
Bucharest. He was in Bucharest. So he was saved. You know, Romania was not so bad to the Jews as Hungary. Hungarians, they had their own madim, their uniforms, helping the Nazis catch the Jews as much as possible. The Hungarian Jews,
Hungarian
Christian, the Hungarian Christians were very bad to the Jews. So he was not from Hungary. He was from Romania. And from there, there was more sikui, but he was taken to Auschwitz also. He was also, because he didn't live in the big cities. They didn't live in Bucharest.
So they took them first from the outlying.
From the outside. So when he arrived, that's what I want to tell you. When he arrived in Auschwitz, so they took him off the train. So someone from his shtetl was there and told him, tell them that you're a locksmith. He says, but I don't know anything about it. He said, don't worry, I'll teach you. And a locksmith, then they don't have to be outside in all kinds of weather, you know, outside. So that's what he did, and that saved him. He had a younger brother also with him, but he became ill, and he said, I'm going to stay over here. I'm not going to go to work. I'm staying here in this, and he died. And his sister, I told you that she had an aunt who was in charge of the how do you call it, where they were living, how do you call the block,
the lager.
Yeah, and she was in charge, so she probably fed her a little bit better, and you know, whatever she could do, she helped her. She was didn't have any children. She was almana. Understand? She was a widow.
A widower.
Yeah, she's a widow, and she got married after the Holocaust. She married someone who had a son, and she never had children. So when I got married to him, we went to them many. They were in Haifa, many Shabbos. Once a week, once a month. I went over there. He was like a son to my aunt, to his aunt, and she's buried over there. And she was the family. There was another uncle who also was saved from the Holocaust, and he was sent to Cuba. He was sent to Cuba, and so he didn't have to go to Holocaust. And the family sent a kala after him that he shouldn't marry a Christian woman. So that was my husband's uncle and aunt, and they were such nice people. They were not religious. I mean, not the Hachas. He knows what a kippah is, anything. So they used to come to us for the Chagim in Ashkelon, for the Seder and for the high holidays. They came to us. they had a daughter who married a doctor, and they had 2 sons. One was a dentist, and one, I don't know what he did. So the one of them went from Cuba. He went to the States, and the one who was the dentist, and the one who was married to the doctor, they came here. They came to Israel, and they also visited us many times until they had children, and then the one who was the dentist, we went up near Kiryat Arba, and the
in Hebron.
not Kiryat Arba. What's over there in the Tzafon? Kiryat Shmona. So he lived over there, and they were shooting. The Arabs were shooting in Kiryat Shmona a lot then at that time when they were there. So he came, I think, to Rehovot. Maybe he moved to Rehovot. He was okay. I think he's still alive. And the one who's the girl, that's my husband's first cousin, and so we many times we invited them. You know, a little Yiddishkeit, the lo music, you know, and I don't know how she has a family. He died already. Her husband, her doctor, and she has children. Some of them are in the States. Some of her children are also in the States, and the one who was the dentist, he lives still in Kiryat Shmona, but he's not well. Yeah.
And can I ask, Bracha, when it was Yom HaShoah, your husband would watch the television?
He didn't move away from the television. I said, "What are you doing? Why you weren't there?" He said, "Because maybe I'll see someone that I know." No?
And did he ever recognize anybody?
He wouldn't tell me. Mamash, a person like that should not see such things. It brings back all the bad.
Did he have nightmares?
Huh?
Did your husband have nightmares? Did you ever hear him in the middle of the night crying or?
No, he didn't. He was an introvert. I never heard him cry. No. First of all, he worked nights. He had to get up at 1:00 in the morning in order to go bake bread in the bakery. Well, you go to the bakery, you go to the store, and at 6:00 in the morning you have fresh bread. So someone has to make that.
He was the baker.
Yeah, one of the partners. It was a big bakery. And when it was Milchemet Sheshet Hayamim, he didn't go. Yeah, he wasn't. He went to the army a few wars. But after I got married, he never went to the Miluim or anything because he was needed. If there was a war, they needed the bakeries open. They had to give it to the Chayalim also, first thing, you know. So, but he had people not from his shtetl, but someone close to his shtetl. So he felt good with the people that he was working with. There was some Sfardim also came in, but at the end he worked until he yatsa lepensia. So he sold his share. He sold his share, and then we had already 2 married children who were in Yerushalayim. So I said, let's go to Yerushalayim and Gemanu. So until he sold, I already found an old lady that I slept by her, and I worked in hospitals and in all the hospitals. And when I was in the States, after I got divorced, I took a course for medical secretary. So because I didn't want to work anymore in kindergarten. I love children, but I wanted to work as a secretary, and then he joined me also in Yerushalayim. So, but when I told you when my daughter was in high school, I wanted to divorce already then, and she said no, don't make any waves, don't make waves. They were all the children were very close to the father. He was close to them, yeah, much more than to me.
Really?
I took them always to hikes. He never, when there was a holiday or something like that, I took the bus from Ashkelon and all the way to Haifa. I had friends in Haifa and went to sleep by them. And mamash, I didn't stop enjoying just because he didn't want to go. You understand? That's what I'm saying. He was so much different, age difference, and maybe
a big age difference.
And not only that, mentally also. He went through. He saw his parents taken in front of his eyes, and he was 20 years old. I even if I saw bad things in the Holocaust, but I was lying in bed with my mother all the time.
Yeah.
So that I was cut off from her later on. זה לא אותו דבר.
It's not the same thing.
No, the place where I was in the children's home, it was a beautiful place. He took us also on hikes. The teacher, we were sleeping in barns, but it was all beautiful. You know Switzerland. You said you were in Switzerland.
It's very beautiful.
It's very beautiful. So when I came to it was for me to go down. It was down because Brooklyn in New York is not so beautiful as Switzerland.
No.
So, and I went to the playground full of Negroes. I never saw a Negro in my life before. Full of Negroes. Brooklyn, New York is full of Negroes also. So it took a while to get used to it,
But can I ask, when your husband did a documentary or a video
for one of his grandchildren,
for one of your grandchildren, and when you saw the video, how did you feel?
No, it didn't make me go closer to him.
No, but did you feel sad that he never shared it with you?
But I think he should have, very soon after that, I think he should have married someone who was in Holocaust like he was. He had a cousin, I think, in Canada that she married afterwards, and she had one daughter, and she sent the daughter for us for summer vacation in Ashkelon, and then she went back. But he should have married her. He should have married her.
No, well look, Baruch Hashem, it all went out. You got three lovely children and all the grandchildren. So it was all min hashamayim. It was meant to be this way.
He didn't. I think my husband didn't see so many great grandchildren. Definitely not. Grandchildren he saw, Baruch Hashem.
But I think what's amazing is that what you really realize is that although people survived, but they were scarred.
Nachon, exactly. You said the right word.
And I think
that was supposed to have tikkun.
A lot of people don't really understand it so much. How we have.
Look at my sister. She showed me around New York before leaving New York. I mean, she was 100% all right. And then the whole year, I didn't hear from her a whole year. And then my sister writes me that she had a nervous breakdown. Okay, nervous breakdown. So it doesn't mean that for all life she has to be incarcerated, in mental hospitals. So they have to take care of that. But they didn't go to the Shorosh Habaya, to the
source of the problem.
Yeah. If she was so good before I left, then she had a nervous breakdown. But say that, so you take care of that and give let her live her life. And not give so much medications that she's already not the same person. The medications changed her.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she ever lifted the hand of someone. She never hit. She never hit anyone. My younger brother, yes, he did. After I learned that he threw down my mother.
But did he do? Maybe he's.
Of course he did. He didn't do it on purpose. I'm sure. I know. But she can't depend on that he can't do it again, and what do they give? They give them medication. So what does he do? He can throw the medications out and doesn't take it. She never did that. She took whatever they gave. She took it. I'm sure she didn't. She's not a rebellious person. She wasn't a rebellious person. The other sister more, I'm sure. And I'm also rebelling against medications. I did the three things because it's important. I'm thinking back of the polio. In your time.
True. It's so true with the polio.
Yeah, until they had then it stopped. But many children and they couldn't get them better. Well, how do you call? They were paralyzed. With polio.
So how many years were you married to your husband?
30 years.
It's a long time. 38 years.
That's why I went a few times to the States also, and but the best thing in 1 month we did the get. Well, very quickly. But then,
But your husband wanted to remarry you.
Yeah, afterwards. Right after the get, I went to the States. So then when I brought my mother to be buried here. So he came to visit Shiva with my younger son. And then my younger son says he wants to remarry. I said, no, thank you.
And were your children...
He should have married. He could have married.
Can I ask, were your children upset that you got divorced?
Because they were Haredim. I mean, two of them were Haredim. Well, the younger one, he would have been happy. It hurt him also that right after his marriage, 6 months after that, I already left. Went to the States. I got the get and I went. If not for my mother, I wouldn't have... He left the money, and I didn't want to fight because I like my children. We had 2 apartments, one in Ashkelon and one in Yerushalayim, in Givat Mordechai. And so he left the Givat Mordechai to my daughter, and the one in Ashkelon to my younger son. And my oldest son, he gave all the money in the bank, whatever he had left. That's it.
So at least it stays in the family, thank God.
Nachon! And that's why I'm not going to fight with them.
No.
I love the grandchildren, the great grandchildren. That's it. So I never fight. If I have a little money, I give it to the grandchildren. Always.
And looking back, knowing how people were scarred, or how your husband, do you think one could have done something different? One could have...
Only if he would have been mukhan. I took him once for Yeutz in Nisuin.
That's like advice.
How do you say that? You'll find it hard to say it. Yeutz Nisuin. So we went together, and all he did was just say bad things about me, and that's all.
Oh, like counseling. You went for
counseling. Went for counseling. After one time, that's all. He didn't want to go. He said "Chaval ala kesef," and that's it. You see? And he didn't say that we should go counseling after my mother died, and no.
It was a different generation. It's a whole different generation.
What? That they don't go
counseling and But your husband did once a year. He had a reunion with other survivors.
Of course, every year.
Every year. Where did they go?
After I saw that soap, I didn't want to go. It was in that museum over there in the how do you call that? Before the Yad Vashem was made.
In the Mataf Shoah.
Mataf Shoah.
The chamber of the Holocaust.
That's where they met.
And they've got matzevas of all the different
of his shtetl.
Of all the different shtetls. They've got a matzeva. It's like not a tombstone, but it mentions all the different shtetls.
So he was very very strict about going there, and I maybe once I went, and that's all. That was enough. I wasn't ready yet to talk about the Holocaust. Today I don't stop talking because I understand that I'm the last generation. Gamanu, you know, like you showed me all these women. Many of them are second generation already, and the first generation are already 90 years old and so on. So if you don't talk now, then it'll go away with you. You know, you're going to Olam Haba. Gamanu, there won't be any.
And do your grandchildren and your children, do they ask you questions about the Shoah?
When they were younger, when they were in high school, now they're mothers already. But when they were in high school, then some of them had to do a project, you know, in
Shorashim, it's like roots.
So they asked me, yeah. I don't know. I think they didn't ask the Saba. I don't think that he didn't open up yet. He didn't open. It was Mamash. He understood, and probably he loved the children so much, and it's not his children; it's the grandchildren. Mm-hmm. For the grandchildren, we only had 3 children. Sachakol. He didn't. And Baruch Hashem.
Did any of your children go to Poland, or your grandchildren on the March of the Living?
He took the children. I don't know if he took them to Poland, but he took them back to Transylvania, where I think where he was born, and where they lived afterwards, and where else I don't know. Maybe they went to Auschwitz. I don't know. I didn't go with them, so I don't know.
And that your children went to Poland. You've never been to Poland.
I don't
Would it be too difficult to go?
No, it's not. I was born in Hungary. What happened to the Poland was much worse. Much worse. Because this was the last leg of the Holocaust was Hungary.
And you went back to Hungary?
Yes, I went.
How was it when you went back to Hungary?
I didn't think about the Holocaust, Bichlal. My mother showed me the house where we lived, which was later the ghetto, and she showed me the Bet Midrash, where her father was a Rav. I told you that he was he had to check out the knives of the shochatim. If it was not all right, then he could fire them, of the whole city of Budapest. So there, my mother got married over there, where he was, where he was. But then when he died before the wedding. So his oldest son Hananya, he Yorshed, how do you say? He got all the jobs that the grandfather had. He got it also. And then the Holocaust came. I told you.
Yeah.
And then he masqueraded as a Meshatef Pula Shanatim. Hananya, Dot Hananya. He put on the uniform, not of the Nazis, though the Hungarians who helped the Nazis. They had special uniforms. Yes.
This is your.
Huh?
It was your uncle who did this.
Yeah, my mother's oldest brother.
So he put on the uniform of Hungarian.
Yes, and he caught and made himself like he's catching the Jew. Of course he knew it. And he took off his beard and pious, of course. You see, there are some.
Well,
like you asked me, like you said that here in Israel, they call them soap. What you said they call them soap?
Sobanim.
Yeah, so because they didn't understand how they were so weak, they couldn't do anything for themselves. But he was not everyone. You can't make klalim, because not every Jew with a beard and payas is going to shave off his beard and his payas and put on the uniform of the guy, the uniform that helped the Nazis. So, but he did it. He had maybe then 2 children. I don't know how many. He had at the beginning. The last child, he had 8 children, was a boy. He had about 7 daughters. I think he had also a pair of twins also among them, twin girls. And you were asking me about him. So he did what he could. You know, he helped his family.
Did he save any other?
Of course, he saved Yidden. He made himself like a goy. Like and I think as though he's grabbing them, and he's telling them in the air where to hide and where to do what to do.
There was also a very famous story of Rosenbaum. He also did the similar thing, that he put on the uniform of
the Nazis,
of a Hungarian.
Of the Hungarian, nachon.
And he actually saved a lot of Yidden that way.
Nachon. So he did it also. They had a mitzvah. And afterwards, of course, after the Holocaust, he was back again to be a rabbi. He was a rabbi in Borough Park, not in Borough Park, in Williamsburg he was. And he didn't let his children even go to Beis Yaakov. He didn't let them go to high school. He just, at the age of 18, right away chasana. And he had a pair of twin girls, and one of them, she got divorced at the end. It's zelo shayach. This world is not the way it used to be. It's a different world. You can't, every 18-year-old, you put them under the chuppah. Me also, because I didn't want to go to the army, so I grabbed the first one, Gamam. No.
Well, it's amazing, and thank you so much, Bracha, and really, I so appreciate it.
Thank you for taking. So you're advising me that I should write?
Absolutely, Bracha, and your story is so unbelievable.
But what am I going to do with the chole nefesh?
Well, please God, the MS is the MS.
I'll show it to you, and you tell me what I should change.
Thank you so much, and I so appreciate it.